Some people say that he loves taking what I also love taking. And the current one loves taking Bursik. So now people are comparing the two. Who is better? This one who takes what PK takes. And he appeared to be sober because his policies were sober. And this other guy who's taking Bursik and he's lost it. He's just issuing threats. A few Kenyans have been arraigned in Hague. They will not escape Hague. They will not escape Hague. It doesn't matter how long it takes. But one day, they'll have their day at Hague. You're going to die from something. Old age, you're going to die. And once you die, we shall bury you, even if you're being buried with a belt that is costing 500,000 shillings, we'll take you downstairs, 6 feet. That is Vision 2030.
Is there wiggle room though for...
Please don't talk about your plan. We have no business.
But he was elected president. Of course he has his vision. Is there room?
Jadel, please. You know, sometimes I have a lot of respect for you media people, but sometimes you fail.
I'm asking, is there room?
Listen, Jadel, your vision, keep it to yourself and your family. That's your vision.
A very good day to you. Welcome to Jadel Cabrero Unfiltered. This fine Friday, we're having a conversation about the state of politics and governance in this country. Our conversation for today is on the looming mass protests. LSK, Law Society of Kenya, has already said they will have their own protests to protest over Ruto's utterances with regards to judiciary. Says Ruto must retract. Raila Odinga asked his followers to rudi kiwanjani. Ndini Nyoro Kiharu, Member of Parliament, said they should have started on 31st to cross over the year with protests. It's too late already, daring them to go back to the streets. President William Ruto says we will not be intimidated. On this second day, I'm seated with Philip Kisi. We're going to talk about part 2 of the conversation about what is happening in this country. Everything seems crazy just as the year has started. Will it be this way throughout the year? Philip Kisi, thanks for making time. He's a leadership and governance expert, former Nairobi town clerk. How are you?
I'm good, Jada.
It's an interesting conversation we had yesterday, lots of feedback coming through, and I just want to know about today. Look, mass protests, is this something we should be talking about? We had dialogue last time. What is failing us?
Once again, I want to wish all of us a happy New Year, and to remind Kenyans that we are down, completely down, but we are not out as Kenyans. We have gone through pain in the last 15 months. There's more pain that this administration intends to inflict on Kenyans, but we are not out. If there's one thing that I'm requesting, I'm besieging Kenyans not to lose, is hope. Because when you lose hope, you've lost everything. You are as good as a dead person. So they can take away everything. They can even tax dead fellows, because that's what this administration wants, to tax you even when you're dead. They can tax even our cows and chicken. But there's one thing that we are not going to allow them to take away from us is hope. We are going to keep hope alive. So, continue threatening. Issue as many threats as you choose to do, but remember, you are one with a few armed fellows. Kenyans are over 50 million.
What is wrong? That is my question. What is wrong with us? Because we had protests, businesses disrupted last year. We come to National Dialogue Committee. The cost of living issue is not addressed. Now we're going back to protest, I believe. Where are we getting it wrong?
You see, it is dishonesty. Most of the people who are occupying position of leadership right now are dishonest. They don't mean what they say. They are drinking wine and pretending to be drinking milk. It is about just being dishonest. Because last year, we saw people protesting, and it's actually enshrined in our constitution, People are allowed to demonstrate, to picket. It's allowed. And this is the people's constitution. It's not your constitution. And if people thought it right to have it covered in the constitution, you have no business, you have no mandate to stop people from picketing or demonstrating. The only thing that I would urge people is to demonstrate in a manner that will not cause injury to other people, that will not cause destruction to property. On the flip side, the security agencies are expected to provide security for people who are demonstrating, but not to use live bullets on Kenyans. That they are not covered by the Constitution. They're not allowed to use live bullets. Using a live bullet on a human being should be the very last resort. That this person is a danger not only to himself, to you and many other people. But using brutal force on Kenyans, and I must remind the people who are using brutal force, their day is coming. A few Kenyans have been arraigned in Hague. They will not escape Hague. They will not escape Hague. It doesn't matter how long it takes, but one day they'll have their day at Hague. Yeah. So let them not use brutal force, for heaven's sake. Their duty is to provide security, like it happens in civilized in any jurisdictions. I've been to places like Germany. People demonstrate, but the police has caught you. You say what you want to say and then you go home. But here, because we are not honest, because we fear the truth, we fear people speaking, because we know the truth is hurting you. So you want to use brutal force to stop people from talking. Moi Arap Moi, and may the Almighty God rest his soul in eternal peace. He tried for 24 years. He did not succeed. He tried. People died. People lost their lives. People shed blood. And I can tell you, Jadel, people have now even made a greater resolve. Kama mbaya, mbaya. Yeah? Mundu humundu.
You know, this is what...
We are going to face you, mundu humundu.
Raila Odinga said, you've talked about Moi. He says, look, President William Ruto wants to take us back to those dark days when it comes to this conversation we had about judiciary. Is this the case that Ruto wants to go above the Constitution? And this is why most of these problems are not getting fixed.
You know, when you're hard-headed, when you think you are so smart that other fellows are just, they actually have no brains, that's what happens. When you don't listen to advice, this country has been there before you. It was there. This country has been independent for 60 years. We have made milestones in most of the areas, in our economy, political scenes and what have you. We have made progress. This country will be there after you are dead, because you are going to die. You're going to die from something. Old age, you're going to die. And once you die, we shall bury you, even if you're being buried with a belt that is costing $500,000 shillings, we'll take you downstairs, 6 feet. So, please, just be humble. Be humble. Treat people like human beings. People knowing that you are dealing with people who are quite intelligent. William Ruto, or any other Kenyan, is not above the law. The law is supreme. And that is final.
My question comes to navigating the balance between his hard stance on his policies. This is why the issue of cost of living was not addressed in the National Dialogue Committee, because they have their own policies, and giving in to at least to the opposition's demand when it comes to the economic challenge. How can he balance? Because he says he has his plan. And then there are these...
You see, that is where he goes wrong. And I keep on reminding him, when he talks about his plan is not our plan. And please, for heaven's sake, he should stop talking about his plan. We have no business knowing his plan. We have the plan for Kenya, Vision 2030. That is the plan that he must be looking at. It's a vision. His manifesto should address that vision. His job as a driver, because he's the driver of that vision for the time being, his job is to actualize the vision 2030. So when he keeps on ranting and running helter-skelter about his plan, for heaven's sake, if you have a plan, keep it to yourself and your family. We have no business knowing it. You are a mere driver, driving a vision for the time that you've been given, for the duration that you've been given. That is Vision 2030.
Is there wiggle room though for...
Please don't talk about your plan. We have no business.
But he was elected president. Of course he has his vision. Is there room?
Jadel, please. You know, sometimes I have a lot of respect for you media people, but sometimes you fail.
I'm asking, is there room?
Because, listen, Jadel, your vision, keep it to yourself and your family. That's your vision. Kenyans have their vision, it's shared vision. Immediately you get out of that vision, we deal with you. So please, implement our vision, not your vision. Don't implement, we don't care about what you think. We don't care about your plans. And we have no business about your vision. That is your vision and your family. But if you are going to continue governing this country, you must govern within the confines of the law, follow the constitution, and implement Vision 2030. That is our vision. That is our plan.
So the president, whether he thinks of doing something, he has a plan for doing something, it's not part of the vision.
That is his business. Keep it to his house. That is his business. And we have no problem. What he wants to build another Western hotel, that is his vision. We have no business. But when it comes to a shared vision, it is already documented. Go back to that document and implement that document. Your manifesto, as I said yesterday, your manifesto is basically a document that says how you shall you actualize what Kenyans want. And what Kenyans want is clearly stated in Vision 2030.
Now, as he took over power, it was all about President Uhuru Kenyatta, and then it came to state capture. Now it's all about the judiciary, and also he has talked about the opposition sabotaging his plan, even if his plan is part of...
His plan is not our plan.
But let's you've already addressed that.
Yeah.
Is it a question? Is the president on blame games? Is this what he's saying? Because Raila Odinga says all he's talking about is a scapegoat. He's looking for a scapegoat after knowing his feeling.
Jadel, and that's why sometimes I insist that people must study leadership. People must go to school and study management. It's important. You could be maybe good at dairy farming, but you need management. You see, when President Ruto keeps on taking the rear view approach, reverse gear, when he keeps on applying what I keep on referring to as zero approach mentality to management, you want to start from zero, that the rest did nothing, that you're the smartest guy that Kenya has ever been bequeathed with. Yeah. Now you have all the solutions. For heaven's sake, presidents have been there before you. All of them, including Jomo Kenyatta. He was there for 14 years. He did what he did. We shall respect what he did. He had his own failures. It's gone. Arap Moi came. With all his failures, Arap Moi also did something for this nation. He served this nation. If anything, Arap Moi left a peaceful country. If nothing else that we can do, Arap Moi built so many education institutions, including universities. And at that time, people were asking, why is Moi building us? Now we need them. They're not even enough. Arap Moi technical schools, Arap hospitals, what have you. Uhuru has come with his own vibrancy, youthfulness. He did something. There are things that Uhuru has done. But he had his weaknesses. Some people say that he loves taking what I also love taking. And the current one loves taking Bursik. So now people are comparing the two. Who is better? This one who takes what PK takes. And he appeared to be sober because his policies were sober. And this other guy who's taking Bursik and he's lost it. He's just issuing threats. So, I mean, it's ridiculous.
But you don't have to scoop that low.
Let me tell you. Yes. I don't scoop. These are realities. It's a we're talking about reality. Okay?
His policies are out of the world.
His policies, he may be having good intention, but he needs to know he is not the most cleverest person that we've ever had. If he wants to succeed, number one, let him surround himself with honest people. People who have the necessary qualification and experience to do the jobs. Let him surround himself with people who will tell him the truth. Let him surround himself with people who will tell him, boss, you are naked. And you're completely naked. Let's do something about it. Let him surround himself with people who tell him, you know, boss, people are hurting. People are complaining. No, people will tell him that people are indeed happy. And then you mobilize a few people in a room to clap for you when you speak. And then when they leave, they're the same people who are going to Mandamano. So, those are some of the things that he needs to do. Okay? Then, please, forget about any other thing. Stick to our plan.
Now his stance.
Our shared plan.
How do you assess his stance? Because there is mass action, as we is promising one, either to go to a Kamkunja and talk to people or protest in reality. How do you assess his stance, saying we will not be intimidated, instead of calling for yet another, let's come here and we talk?
You see, those are signs of a dictator. And when you're holding a position like he's holding, currently holding, you must be level-headed. You know? And being level-headed does not mean that you're weak. What you just say is that this country belongs to all of us. If you're facing a challenge, can we sit down and, as Kenyans, and talk? Opposition, government, all the arms of, let's sit down, because it's our country. If this country burns, we all burn together. Let us sort out the solutions together, but within the confines of the Constitution. But when you wake up and issue threats and say that you'll not be intimidated, I also want to tell him that he's not going to intimidate any Kenyan. Yes, he will not. In fact, the more threats he issues, the more bold people are becoming. Now people are willing to face him. And I can tell you, mamas, even from the people who voted for him, and I feel sorry for them, they say, we didn't vote for this one. We didn't vote for excessive taxes. Because no country in the world has developed through excess taxation. No, it's just prudent. Be prudent with your resources. Be prudent. Manage your resources that you have prudently. Because you never have excess resources. You never have them. It's a balance. So prudence is required. Good management is required.
Yeah. Then I would.
So, but threats, for heaven's sake.
You've talked about dialogue. How can we have now constructive engagement between the government and the opposition? Because the National Dialogue Committee did not meet the expectations of many Kenyans because cost of living was not addressed. How can we have a constructive now conversation about fixing the country?
You see, for me, the cost of living does not even need dialogue. If you ask me. The cost of living, addressing it, reduce change in policy. But this is a policy I've rolled out. They're hurting people. People are pained. Let's review. It's just reviewing. Must you sit down with people and start talking about, because there's no Kenyan, the 7 million Kenyans who voted for William Ruto did not vote for him to put them through pain. Unless, I don't know. Maybe those who voted for him can tell us. Yeah. They voted for him to ensure that they have a good quality of life, that the taxes are managed prudently, that things are done within the law. But William Ruto, as he's operating right now, he wants to operate like an imperial president. He doesn't care. And when you get to that point of not caring about the people, you actually don't care. He's not feeling pain. His family not feeling pain because they are feeding on tax money. I can assure you, kids in Madare, and I was born in this city and I know the city better than he does. People are paining. I know, I was born here. I'll be 61 in a few days to come. So I know the pain of people who are dwelling in this city are going through. They can't afford anything. But he and his family, through taxpayers' money, they are living a good life.
So they need to understand the situation.
They need to know that people are coming. It just, cost of living. Why are you talking about cost of living? Change policy. And then, review your budget. Just, rejig your budget. Stop some of these capital projects for the time being until we stabilize. Because the first thing that a head of state must do is to make sure that his people have fed. That's the first job. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter the infrastructure you build. If your people are not able to feed themselves, you have totally failed.
But they are comparing themselves with Kibaki's time. You'd listen to Rigathi Gachagua and he'd say, when Kibaki took over, things were horrible. People were saying he will not make it. Give us time, we will fix things. Is this, should we believe
that? Sometimes compare apples to apples. Don't compare apples to avocados. They are not Kibaki. And they will never be Kibaki. Kibaki was a manager. These guys are not managers. They have a bunch of fellows who are just, who don't seem to know what they're doing. Okay? So, Kibaki, my president, emeritus, Emilio, God, may God rest his soul in eternal peace. He was focused. He didn't start off by oppressing people. He said, you know what? The starting point is having a vision for this country. That's what Kibaki did. He said, we must start by having a shared vision. We must agree together what we want for this country and document it. My job will be to roll out what we've agreed and report back to you. And everything started working. So Kibaki was a manager. Number two, Kibaki, at no point did Kibaki talk about his predecessor. No point. Kibaki appointed competent Kenyans to run ministries, run state corporations, and so on and so forth. Kibaki didn't talk every day. Kibaki talked less, he listened more, and that's wisdom. But when you have characters who talk almost every day, every minute, they are talking. You want to talk every minute. Even nobody, it gets a point where nobody wants to listen to you.
Yeah.
When you're holding a certain position, you will succeed when you listen more. Listen to people. Take advice. Because then when you're doing that, the decisions you make are well informed.
So you've said Kibaki is a manager, had vision, had good people on his side, didn't look at the rear view, and he talked less.
Yes.
So you cannot compare.
How can you compare? How many times did Kibaki come out to issue statements? If you're on 4-on-1, you get 4 or 5 statements from State House. I mean, it's ridiculous. In a day, 4 or 5 tip. What nonsense is this?
So finally, maybe you can tell Kenyans, because Kenyans are thinking, we don't want mass action, we don't want our businesses to close, we don't want Nairobi on a standstill again. But Kenyans are also saying, we don't want high taxation, we don't want the cost of living to be as it is. So what is your message to Kenyans right now thinking all this is not understandable?
You see, first of all, Kenyans have a right to picket and go to the streets. That's a right, enshrined in the Constitution. So nobody has a business even telling them not to. People are going there because they're paid. People are going there because they're not doing the right thing. Have you seen the masses? And I'm afraid right now, and someone should advise the president, if right now, Raila was to call people into the streets, he would not manage. It doesn't matter how many, ammunitions that he has invested in. It does not matter how many police officers he has recruited. Kenyans can overrun. Because, see, people are idle. The youth are idle. They have nothing they are doing. People are hungry and angry. And you know, a man who cannot feed his family is dangerous, is more dangerous than a leopard. Because it's a man's job to protect and feed and fend for their family. If you put them in a situation where they can't, yeah, they will do whatever it takes to ensure that there's provision. So, for Kenyans, you have a right to do what to do, but I really would encourage that they are peaceful. For the law enforcement agencies, follow the law, provide security for people who want to picket or who want to demonstrate. For the executive, facilitate. If you don't want to engage with the Kenyans, because I think we've got to a point where the executive thinks that the Kenyans are useless. There's no point even engaging them. You shouldn't engage these people. We can do whatever we feel like doing. When you get to that level that you are not, you know, you think you are God sent. You think you're everything. You think you can bulldoze people. My friend, yeah? The people bring you down. And they'll bring you down in a manner that you don't believe. They'll bring you down in no record time. Because how do you manage 50 million people on the streets? Just 50. I talked about 50. Just 2 million people. 1 million people in the streets of Nairobi. Will you manage? And Nairobi is not the village, my friend. Hapa sio Shago.
Umeka hapo unajua.
Hapa sio Shago. Hapa ni city, my friend. And this is a city. Yeah? We understand it better than they do. So, wasitulete?
Wasitulete. We're going to wrap up this conversation. Thank you, Philip Kisi, for being with me for the past 2 days with really insightful conversations. I hope our president and our leaders, because I say these conversations are conversation I hope will help them make better policy decisions and inform political moves for the benefit of Kenya. So asante sana kwa kukuwa na sisi. We appreciate. I'm trying to convince you to come for a new show with you, Philip Kisi, unscripted. If you want Philip to be coming here every week, you can say on the description, on the comment section, so that we have him every week for this conversation. But Kisi, asante sana for coming, and we appreciate you.
Kenyans, let's not throw away hope. That's the only thing that is left. Let's keep it, knowing that that's the only thing we have, hope. This country belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong to any single individual. If it comes down, we'll come down. Let us fight to keep our country.
Thank you. Until we do talk again, have yourself a lovely rest of your day.